Would everyone please turn on your microphones if you've turned
I think
it
my
off?
microphone works now.
I apologize to everyone for that feedback loop that was going on. I was working with Teresa using my cell phone, and we were getting that loop. So sorry about that. And I see Preacher sitting in the sunroom. I believe he has a front porch on his house. It's a lovely spot to be. And Preacher, I just wanted to make sure you are okay. Family is okay. I don't know that he was able to hear that. In any case, I am continuing to talk about the factors of enlightenment. And I want to remind you that these things are experiential. These things develop with continual practice of mindfulness and concentration of Vipassana. And while it's an easy thing to want to say, I'm going to remember these things and I'm going to learn them and be able to repeat them to myself or to anyone else, I want you to understand that my expectation of you is just to hear it, to know it a little bit, and when it arises in your practice, then you'll remember. Oh, there it is. There's the balance in the 5 faculties, or there is greater mindfulness, the first factor of enlightenment, which asks you to assertively pay attention to all of the phenomenon that arises. But that also develops naturally the more you practice. And when it happens to you, you know it. You can cultivate both the faculties and the factors of enlightenment by using intention. But you can't force it. And if you do force it, then you're going to create difficulty and problems in your practice because you're manipulating body and mind. Using intention releases, these are my words now, releases the power of cause and effect. It releases the power of karma. You declare the intention and then let go. If your practice is ready to manifest these things to you, then it will. But you can't force it. All you can do, your sole responsibility as a practitioner, is to note, to observe, pay attention to whatever is arising in mind and body. Today I wanted to ask Pete to hold up your nice 15-minute sign when it comes, because I don't want to go beyond that. This time, would you use red ink? In either case, even if it's in black and black, it's fine, or blue, it's fine. Just catch my attention. The second factor of Enlightenment is called the investigation of the Dhammas, the things that arise, and all of the things that arise, one thing after another. So I'm going to ask Teresa to stop writing down. I just want you to hear it.
Okay.
Because these things will arise in practice. You can't reach this level of investigation of the Dhammas through thinking about or even intellectual understanding. You've got to experience it. And no one else but you can experience it. And you know when you have experienced it. That's the beauty of this practice. You don't need a teacher to tell, oh, that's what that is. You know within your own mind and body that you have. You know, practitioners along the way want to know, where am I in my practice? I was the worst offender of it. And you'll never guess what Ajahn said. You know by yourself. Just note it. In this investigation of the Dhammas, everything and anything that arises, we're seeing individual characteristics and common characteristics that arise in materiality through our intuitive knowing. And it's this that gives rise to our wisdom. And when investigation of the Dhammas is missing from your practice, then the mind goes into chaos. It's filled with doubt. It feels lost and hopeless. And I'm reminded of something I read years and years and years ago as Ajahn Chah was wandering the forests of Thailand as a young monk, doing tudang, going from village to village, practicing deep in the forest alone, and how even this great master experienced doubt, deep and profound doubt. Well, because he practiced mindfulness, the four foundations of mindfulness, what he was able to do is what you should do anytime doubt arises in your mind. Doubt, doubt, doubt. Instead of processing, well, is this truth? Is this really working? Am I just wasting my Sunday or Saturday or free time? Is this getting me anywhere? Well, that's exactly what our minds wants us to do. Just by seeing it, just by experiencing it, it is what it is. You just observe it and let it rise and fall as it will, because that's the Dhamma. Is there anyone who has never experienced doubt in the practice? Unlikely. Because we share that common characteristic. And that's what you see in practice. We're also seeing, when we investigate the Dhammas, anything that arises, we're seeing impermanence by the rising and falling of these things. We're seeing suffering when we cling to something and can't seem to let go. And we're also seeing, and very clearly for some of us, how wild and out of control things really are. As much as we would like to control, we can't ultimately control. We can't tell our bodies to stop getting old and stiff and creaky. It happens. This is the Dhamma. Even when Ton Brian gets old and gray, he will experience old age and he will know it. That's where the wisdom comes. These three marks of impermanence, of suffering, and no self are seen continuously in everything and anything we do as long as we note it. We'll see deeply materiality, things that are made of solid things, and then things that are coming out of our minds. And we also, if we're practicing properly, will see Nibbana, nirvana, absence of greed, hatred, and delusion. I can recall the very moment that I realized when I am fully noting by 100%, full concentration, full mindfulness, with energy and effort, that I was free totally. That's referred to as Kanika Nibbana, momentary Nibbana. And all we need to do is connect one moment of total freedom with the very next moment of freedom, with the next moment of freedom, one after the other. Then we are beginning to realize our full freedom just in those moments of momentary enlightenment, totally free of greed, hatred, and delusion. And when Ajahn Chali and I were talking about this years ago, he said, you know, people have these deluded ideas about what nirvana is, or nibbana is, or what full enlightenment is. It's this, in this very moment, right here, right now, the noting. That's why we note, so that we can have an understanding of what true freedom is moment by moment. In addition, we want to see the basic and common characteristics of hardness in things, softness, movement, tightness, tension, heat, cold, fluidity. Any physical characteristic that comes to your attention, whether inside your body or outside your body, is to be noted. And when we talk in detail about the 4 foundations of mindfulness, it finally dawned on me that I don't necessarily need to stare at myself. All I have to do is see whatever is around me. I can see Preacher sitting there in the sun and note his actions, his body. See him for the common characteristics that we have. He has a body, I have one. He has a mind, I have one. I am seeing that. And I'm seeing your faces on the screen. I can sit here and practice just noting you instead of necessarily noting me as well. So it's inside phenomenon, outside phenomenon that brings you momentary enlightenment. We begin to observe how quickly, in fact, the mind is moving and changing microsecond by microsecond, not just minute by minute, not just gray hair by gray hair, but even the sensation of a tickle at the end of your nose dances. The pain in your knee dances around too. The blood is coursing through your body. You can, when you are so focused, so concentrated, and so mindful, maybe even see the body respond to an in-breath, all the way down to your toes, all the way up to the top of the head. You can sense so much more in what's happening in body and mind when you put your energy and effort, the 5 faculties, right into what is happening. When you are so focused and so concentrating and experiencing moments of non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, you are, in fact, experiencing Kanika Nipan, momentary enlightenment, and then you can sense the freedom, the peace, and the calm, and the cooling that happens to human passions when you are working at that kind of level of practice. So one might ask, how does one develop this? Well, asking questions about your practice is one of the ways. Asking questions about Dhamma, not so much arguing about the ideas of the Dhamma, but how they arise in your practice. You want to approach your practice with cleanliness, physical, mental, and with your morality. That's why we take the 5 precepts, to clean ourselves, knowing that moment by moment, it can change. Thank you, Pete. Like the red color. You want to note the 5 faculties. Where are they? Do you, in fact, have confidence in the practice? How is your concentration at this moment? How is your mindfulness at this moment? How is the energy and effort doing? And has your wisdom grown? This is a good place for me to stop, and I'll get back to next time because I'll talk more about some of the common issues that happen when one of those faculties is out of balance, and what you do when you're experiencing those issues in your practice. Again, if you would like to discuss some of this material after, then I will stay here and we'll talk. At this point, I would like to ask Tom Bryan if he would be so kind as to lead us in metta. Oh, before that, I forgot Pete. Did you have any ideas about dealing with?
Oh, sure. I did have an idea this week. Actually, I've got one that I want to throw at y'all to really try, because I know I throw my 2 cents into the equation here, but I want to really invite everybody this week to try this practice, and then next week tell me what you experienced from it, and then I'm going to build on this a little bit. So this is a pretty simple thing. What I'm going to invite you to do is find a way to set a timer on your phone during your busy day that will give you like a bell or like a text message sound or something at an interval that could be random, or you could just set a timer for like every 2 hours or once a day. And when you hear that sound, take 1, 2, 3 mindful breaths. 3 can be really hard, believe it or not. You can be really busy. But set a random timer, and no matter what you're doing, it doesn't have to be obvious. You could be driving down the road. You could be in middle conversation with somebody. You could be in a heated debate, and your phone will go off with a ding. And in that moment, take 1 mindful breath. And as Ben said, note what's happening in that 1 breath. Rising, falling, where are you? And then next week, let's talk about what was that like for some of you. Give it a try. If you are riding a horse at the time and the bell goes off, I mean, be careful that you don't get yourself injured. But with that said, go pay attention to 1 mindful breath a day, or however that works for you, and then see what that experience is like. And we'll talk about it again more next week.
Good idea. Thank you, Pete. And now, Tom Bryan, if you would.
I think I'm not muted, right?
No.
You're not muted. No.
I can hear you.
May we abide in well-being, in freedom from affliction, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may we maintain well-being in ourselves. May everyone abide in well-being, in freedom from hostility, in freedom from ill will, in freedom from anxiety, and may they maintain well-being in themselves. May all beings be released from all suffering, and may they not be parted from the good fortune they have attained. When they act upon intention, all beings are the owners of their action and inherit its results. Their future is born from such action, companion to such action, and its results will be their home. All actions with intention, be they skillful or harmful, of such acts they will be the heirs.
I'm continually struck by the power of intention in practice. Intend, and then you will inherit the results of that intention. It's a beautiful thing. And hello, Aiden. Good to see you. So glad you could join us. Yin Preacher, would you please lead us in paying respects to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha?
สุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามิ Thank you, Lumpia.
Thank you for being together. Thank you, Aiden. Lovely to hear your voice. Brings a smile to everyone's face. Okay, so once again, have a great week. Hope to see many of you on Wednesday if you can. And if you would like to discuss some things afterwards, please stick around. Victor, if you would, just so that we can talk, if that's possible. And have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks, all.